after hundreds of videos and thousands of conversations about books that I would be tired of it. Oh no, no I am not. I actually got the most amazing question from a friend. She was asking, where should I start with a historical fiction? And I got so excited that I am going to show you what I'm going to recommend to a historical fiction newbie. So I'm so excited to share with you. Okay, if you're new to my channel, know that my name is Shelly. I love books and reading, and I love historical fiction, and I love talking about books and reading. It's my favorite thing. So if you're new, whether to the genre or to this channel, I would encourage you to subscribe, stick around, and without any further rambling on, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. So let me give you a little outline of this friend. This friend says that she enjoys reading fantasy sci-fi, that she enjoys Brandon Sanderson, and that she's deep in the Cosmere saga trilogy universe, I think it is. I don't know. I have not read Brandon Sanderson. I've actually started his most Mistborn a couple of times. It's not really for me, but that's okay. And that she really likes the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. She's been reading Pierce Brown and Brandon Sanderson, and she asked where should she start with historical fiction. So I was like, So I'm going to actually tell you some of the books that I ruled out first and foremost, because they might actually be for you. In case you're not like brand new to this genre and you're considering it, the reasons why I ruled this out might be the exact reasons why you should pick this up. So I'm going to include those. So I initially thought Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. Oh my goodness, this is probably my favorite historical fiction of all time. It tells the story of Thomas Cromwell, who historically has been the scapegoat, the villain, the thug that beats up people for Henry VIII. And in this book, he's sympathetic, he's wonderful, he's amazing. He's probably my most favorite literary character of all time. I love him in these books so much. And of course, when I feel this passionate about a book, I'm like, I want more people to read it. However, I immediately ruled this out because I think that it is for a very patient reader. And I'm not saying that she's not patient, but I think that you have to have some kind of interest in the Tudor court. If you were really, really into single character sketches that dive deep into the psychology of a single person, this would be for you. And that is exactly my kind of book. Like, I love a book about one person and the depth of that person. So I had thought this was absolutely for me. It's also just immensely richly detailed and very slow moving in a lot of ways. And so you have to be okay with all of that in order to get into this. So if she had said that she was a history reader, that like history is her favorite thing, she even liked British history. If she was a nonfiction reader even, I would be more okay with recommending something like this, because I think that Wolf Hall is more attuned with those types of readers. Though I'm not ruling anybody out. Anybody could read this and love it, truly and honestly. But I'm like, if it's coming from me to her, I don't think I want to start with this. Okay, another book, simply for length, even though it's an amazing book. It's an amazing book. It is The Amazing Adventures of Cavalere and Clay by Michael Chabon, which tells of two cousins. One is from Prague and the other is from New York. And in Prague, the political situation is getting extremely intense because it's set right before World War II, and both cousins are Jewish. And then, so the Prague cousin ends up going to, and it's in the very first scene, going to the New York cousin to stay for safety reasons. And together, these two cousins take on the comic book industry, and it is amazing. It's amazing. Is just, the character is great, the world is amazing, and there are some cinematic scenes that are just fantastic. But to recommend a 700-page book to a newbie of the historical fiction genre is, I think, kind of cruel, in my opinion. But a fantastic book to boot. Another book that I had thought about, but then kind of quickly ruled out because I think it would be more for somebody who said they love mysteries. If someone was like, I love a mystery, I love it so much, but I want to get into historical fiction, then I would actually say Josephine Tey, The Daughter of Time. This is about the main inspector. This is actually a book in a series, but it's often read as a standalone. I read it as a standalone, and it was great. I have no interest in reading other things by Tey, not because I don't like her, but because I liked this book for what it was, and I don't feel the need to read her other books in order to give this book context. But her main inspector person, Inspector Alan Grant, is laid up in a hospital, and so he starts beginning to think about a historical conundrum, and he starts to pick it apart. It's about Richard III. And so he starts to pick it apart and read and consider the controversy, mystery around Richard III. And it's one of those things where the inspector himself, Alan Grant, is not moving, but he's figuring out everything in his mind. And so it is very much a mystery, but it's also very, very historical. And so with that, it's such a pleasure and delight to read. But I feel like if she had told me, I love mysteries, that's my genre, they're great, I love like Elizabeth George, and she went on and on about her favorite mysteries, I'd be like, okay, I think you would really like this. It's slim, and it really blends mystery and history together perfectly. Oh my gosh, girl, stop rhyming. And then the last book I had very much considered, but then I also feel like this writer's so good at writing about the ickiness of humanity that it could put off somebody who's not used to super gritty writing. And that is The Year of Wonders by Geraldine Brooks. Now this is set in 1666 and in this teeny little town that ends up getting the plague. And so what happens to this town and humanity as they are dealing with life-threatening and perhaps like town-threatening disease? Like how are they going to, like, the life of their entire town is at threat. There's a threat that it will go away, that everyone could die in their town. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do? And it brings out like the absolute worst in humanity. And so this, I think, is a really, really good book, and it is very readable, but there are hard scenes in it. And so I don't want to necessarily recommend something that is going to really put her off to the genre. So I thought, no. So instead, I did choose this book. And it's a book that I finished recently. And I partly chose it because every person that I've seen that has read it has said that it was very readable. Like, it was almost compulsive. Like, you wanted to just keep going with it. And that it was very thought-provoking. And it's easy to talk about the difficulty of this book, partly because of its setting. So it's The Mare by Angahard Hampshire. So this has very short chapters. It's very compulsive, in my opinion, that you want to know how everything is going to resolve. It's doing the thing where it's about a single person, and it's diving into that person's psychology, which I quite like. And it's essentially about how can an average normal person do horrific things, and it's diving into that concept. And this is about Hermione Brunsteiner, who ends up being a guard for concentration camps in Austria, and her journey, how she got there. And I think that the pitch, whether she, I think that when I pitch it to her, it's going to be easy for her to decide, the friend, whether this book is for her or not, because I'm going to say that it's going to have some scenes about World War II set in concentration camps. That can be difficult, but ultimately the message or the idea at the center of the book is really fascinating. And then going on to read more about Angahard, not Angahard Hampshire, that's the author, Hermione Brunstetter, is worth it. It's really interesting, even though it is disturbing in its own right. But also, I just noticed that a lot of reviews said that this was very readable. And so I want her to feel like it has an addictive quality to the book, like that you want to read it, that you want to know what's going to happen. And I think that that's one of the qualities that sci-fi fantasy readers read for. they're sort of in it, you know? And they're in it in this way where, like, when you get in it, you're immediately sucked in and you're caught up in the world and the characters and the problems. And so I wanted something that would give her that kind of feeling. And I feel like The Mare would be like that, because the scenes are very vivid, the characters are, you know, well done, and the chapters are so short that it's just easy to just pick up and, you know, read a chapter or two and then set it down. My friend has also 2 little kids, so I'm trying to be respectful of her time. The other book I picked because historical fiction readers across the spectrum love this book, including me. So I'm thinking of myself and Katie from Books and Things. We both really love this book, and I've noticed that she and I tend to be on opposite spectrums of the historical fiction board. So, or genre. She really likes pacey, she really likes, like, she loves a good pace to a book and a good plot. And for me, I'm like, I don't care if nothing happens, give me a great character. Not saying that she doesn't like a great character, she does as well, just like I like a great plot, but I tend to be more like, give me the more literary, slow-going, nothing happens type of historical fiction. And Katie, is like, give me a great character, but I want a lot of stuff to happen in the plot. And yet we both like this book. So it is The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. And in this, we have a young woman, a little girl, who seems to be of the divine because she hasn't eaten for weeks, possibly even months. So this nurse is sent out to figure out what's going on with this little girl. And the nurse is like determined to get down to the bottom of this. Like, she does not want to just write it off as, oh yes, the divine has come into this young woman, this little girl, and she is like an angel or a divine being. Like, the nurse is so skeptical, and it's so satisfying because as a reader, I was very skeptical of the little girl, and being with this nurse who's also extremely skeptical of the little girl and doing all the things that I would have done, checking the walls, checking the floor, like being so vigilant, trying to figure out what was going on with this little girl, that it was very, very satisfying. It was a very satisfying read. Also, it comes to a really great conclusion, has a great ending, and it's not actually super long. It's actually really, really rather short. It's less than 300 pages, even though it's kind of, I wish that this was all, regular paperback like this, like The Mare. Like, this thing is huge compared to The Mare. I just wish it was in a smaller format, but that's okay. So this I'm going to give to the friend. And it's fantastic. The last book I'm giving to her because it's a great audiobook. It's a fantastic audiobook, and she said that she likes to listen to audiobooks and knit, that's the kind of person she is, or crochet rather. And so I was like, and so I'm going to give her the book, but I'm going to actually recommend the audiobook because it's so good. And it is The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. Now, Tom Hanks reads the audiobook. I'm a huge Tom Hanks fan, partly because we have the same alma mater, which I love. But what's so great about this is that the characters are great. It's about siblings and place. And I really, really vibed with that. And how place can be a sticking point in one's childhood, and it's sort of the thing that we return to, what place can mean, but also the relationship between a brother and sister and their deep love for one another, which I just adored. Now, this is also the most modern of the books that I'm recommending. This is set in the 1960s, I would say, maybe 60s, 70s, in the United States. So I believe that the siblings' father served in World War II, and so they're the children of a World War II vet. And that plays into the novel and the priorities of each person in the novel. But, I mean, Anne Patchett's a great writer. But I also know that this friend has siblings. I have siblings. She has, like, special relationships with her siblings. Like the good, healthy relationships, but also complicated relationships, just like me. All that stuff. All the stuff. And just to know that, like, I love a sibling book. And so I was like, I recommend this, but I'm actually going to recommend the audiobook because it is compulsively listenable, because Tom Hanks is amazing. So I'm going to give her these 3 and say, keep them, do what you want with them, give them back if you would like. I'm not going to be like nitpicking about when they get back to me or anything like that, but mostly just enjoy them, or don't even read them if you don't want to. If you start them and they're not your thing, it's okay. I'm not offended at all. Mostly just thrilled that I could go down this rabbit trail of thinking of what would I recommend to a newbie whose taste is as hers is. And that's what I would recommend. Okay. Well, that's it from me. What would you recommend to a newbie? Would love to know. But mostly just thanks for spending this time with me, letting me nerd out on books and reading. Appreciate you so much. And I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye.